It's 7 o'clock, and it's time for your favorite radio show, LidLine Sports. Everybody, back to LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio World. I am your boy Pep, and my man O is here. I have an attitude today, so O, take it away.
Yes, sir. What's up, Pep? How you doing, man?
I got an attitude.
I
just said
it. I wanted to start the show asking all LidLine fam, put your hands on my family. Late Monday night, my family lost my grandpa.
Oh, man.
Yeah, after long health battles, but he lived 90 plus years, Pep.
Ooh, beautiful.
So it's nothing but celebration. Of course, there's a moment of grief, but after I think about, everything he's done for my family and, the life he's got to live, like it's hard to stay sad and understand and celebrating. My grandpa's name was Jerry Dorsey. But yeah, it's hard to, stay sad and understanding, everything that he's done in this world. And like I said, for my family. So
God bless you and your family, man. What a blessing to have your grandpa for the many years that he lived and the many years so far that you've yourself have lived. I never had a grandfather. Both of mine were gone by the time I was born. Okay. Yeah, and I mean long gone. They were gone a long time before my grandfather died when my father was 3.
Wow.
And my mom's dad died when she must have been 10 or 11. So, I never had that opportunity to have a grandfather. So what a blessing. And I'm so glad that you were able to have him for as long as you did. And he lived a long, good life.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Prep.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, we've had a lot going on. We are now officially on the first half, ending the first half of the MLB. And I think, to all you guys, I think that's why Pep's a little frustrated. Even though he is wearing a Mariners shirt, he has a lot of frustration built up, which is why he's throwing a show to me today. And we're going to start right there with the Seattle Mariners. Halfway through the season, the Mariners right now where are they at, Pep? They are one game ahead of Houston. So they beat you by a game. They're one game ahead of Houston at 52-46. The Houston Astros are 50-46 right now. And it's been a story of two tales for the Mariners. Very inconsistent team. Never got too high, never got really too low. But it's just been an incomplete unbalance, in my opinion. And here we are. And I am personally not too optimistic about the second half. I will say that some of the guys have gotten going. Julio has gotten going. But when it comes to the wins and losses, in the last 10 games, the Mariners are 5-5. They lost 3 in a row to the LA Angels. Can't happen. And that's why, Pep, I'm pretty sure you are very frustrated, because when we came on the show last Monday, we said that they needed to sweep the LA Angels and be ready to go for the Houston Astros come the beginning of the second half of the season. And they did the complete opposite. And one game, they put up runs, and the bullpen came and gave up hits. Second game, pitching was well. Hitting wasn't well. Bullpen came in, gave up home runs. I don't know, Pep. I don't know what's the answer. And now I think what's going to happen is you're going to hear the chatter of what possibly can happen come the trade deadline. And, I hear a lot of fans saying maybe this is what the front office needed to see going in the trade deadline, to maybe swing for the fences and go get a player. I'm here to tell you, like I told you last week, it ain't going to happen. If you guys have kept up with the Mariners for the last 3 years that they've been decent, how many times have they went and got a bat? If they went to trade, it was for a pitcher, and they only did that once.
Mm-hmm.
So for all you fans who are hoping that this is the year that they'll make a splash to make that turn and compete, I'm going to be the first to say I don't see it happening, and I have reasons to why I don't think it's happening. So you optimistic fans, unless you guys have real reason to think that is all of a sudden going to just change this year, I don't see it. Pep, let your frustration out and give me your analysis on the Mariners' first half.
Well, the frustration you pointed out, the past series with the Angels, there's no way you lose 3 out of 4 to Anaheim Angels. You just can't do it. You know, I would have accepted a split because, you know, they're a division rival, whatever. But, you know, they swept San Diego and then go to Anaheim and lose 3 out of 4. As a matter of fact, they won the first game 11-0. So you figured you were optimistic. All right, so they're going to get rolling. And then, you know, All-Star break comes and they're going to wait on the Astros to come in here. Well, my assessment of the first half is they're inconsistent, and this is who they are. They're not in a slump. It's just a bad offensive team. It's
a good point.
It's what it is. Yeah. And there's no fix because one player or one trade, 2 players, 2 bats or whatever is not going to fix it.
That's a good point.
It's just not a good cohesive batting lineup, and they should have fixed it last season because last season going into last season was the season they should have actually went all out because they had just came back from a great playoff run. So they should have gotten swung for the fences then. So that carryover of not doing it then is actually hurting them now because if they'd have done it then they'd be in much better shape. You know, so they might have even been to the playoffs last season again instead of being disappointed again and not making it. And now this season, they figured they're not going to make the mistake of getting, like the La Stellas and the Colton Wongs, but that's exactly what happened. They did the same thing. I mean, Garver is no better than Colton Wong. Who else did they get? Polanco. Oh my God, he's been a disaster.
Yep.
Especially at the plate. He's okay in the field, but we'd be fine with Ryan Bliss in second base permanently or Dylan Moore, whatever. I'm okay with that because Polanco ain't the answer. And so they do not have a guy that another team will look at coming up, right, when it's a big moment and say, "Uh-oh, here we go." We don't have that. Even the Angels has that. And case in point, yesterday, I'm listening to the game. It's 2-0, right? In the bottom of the 8th. First 2 guys walk. The next guy up is Joe Adele. And I looked at Doreen and I said, well, here comes 3-2.
That's what happened.
That's exactly what I said because I know this guy. He is a killer. And sure enough, the next pitch over the fence. And I just looked, and she just looked at me and like, wow, you picked. I mean, you called it, and I did, and I called it again Friday. Friday, same thing. Mariners up 5-4, bottom of the 9th, right, or bottom of the 10th. Ghost runner for the Angels. I looked at Dorian. I said, well, get ready for 6-5. Next pitch, I kid you not, home run. I could see it. I don't know why or how. I can't explain it. But I could tell when these clowns are going to give it up. And they do it every time. I mean, I got to be 95% easy on figuring out what they're going to do at the end of a game. It's crazy. It drives me nuts, bro. I'm so tired of it. And the reason why I got such an attitude and I'm so mad, I think it's because when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to the Sonic games, right? And so the Sonics were the first professional team here in Seattle that was like out of the big 4, NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL, whatever. And so when we come back from the Sonic game after a loss or after the Sonics had blown a lead, he turns on the radio and we had a iconic announcer, Bob Blackburn, and folks, old timers know who I'm talking about. He was an iconic
I don't.
broadcaster.
I don't think.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, all that. But my dad used to be mad at him because all he would talk about for like 20 minutes is how the Sonics blew a 20-point lead. So his attitude towards our teams carried over to me, right? Because when you're a young child, you get influenced by stuff like that. So that carried over, and that's how my attitude is now. When the Mariners blow leads, when the Seahawks do something stupid, I get frustrated. I want to throw. Oh my God, I want to throw stuff. It's ridiculous. I get loud and mad, and I want to fuss and cuss and all that kind of stuff. Man, I can only do that when I'm by myself. I can't do that around other people. But man, oh my goodness, it just drives me absolutely bonkers. And this team, no team has driven me crazy like the Mariners do. I'm sorry, they just are, man.
and
I,
and and I don't blame you, Pep. Man, I think you made another good point. I think the other frustration is that the bullpen is inconsistent, and that's not something that the Mariners had to deal with over these last
right.
2 years. They've had one of the best bullpens. Now you're asking starters to limit to 1 to 2 runs to give us even a real chance, knowing with how our bats have
And
been.
even that's not happening. I mean, Logan Gilbert was phenomenal, right? 2-0. He leaves the game. He's up 2-0. Man, you got to win that game.
You have to.
You can't. Oh my God! That's the Mariners. They got. We talk about pitching. If it wasn't for the pitching, if they had just regular mediocre pitching, they'd be in last place right now because they can't hit.
Yep.
They can't support anybody on the mound. And of course, you can't expect the bullpen or even a starter to be lights out every night.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have bad outings. It's gonna happen. You've got to be able to put up some offense to offset that at some point, and they don't do it. This weekend, man, they had the bases loaded 3 straight innings and got nothing. Meanwhile, the Oakland A's, they're, we all joke about the Oakland A's, how terrible a team they are. But do you know that the Oakland A's have the highest scoring runs, the 3 highest scoring runs in MLB? They've had a game where they've scored 20, 19, and yesterday they beat Philly 18-3.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know
their pitching sucks, but look, they can hit, but since their pitching so bad, they're going to lose a lot of 11-7, 8-5 games, and that's what happens. But the Mariners, they're losing 3-1, 2-0. I'm so tired of turning on the radio. And I'm catching it in the 7th inning. Oh, the Mariners have 1 hit.
Yeah.
God, I don't know how many
times.
That's
frustrating to hear.
How many times I've turned the radio on and that's happened? 1 hit, 2 hits. Right? It's becoming man.
It's becoming a norm to actually hear those stats, and it's very glaring. I mean, they're bottom 5 in runs, they're last in hits, they're bottom 5 in RBIs, they're
first in strikeouts.
They're last in batting average, and it's almost such a testament to the pitching that this team is actually on top of that too. Luckily for them, the AL West isn't that good this year, but it's a testament that they are above 500 and still have a fighting chance at this moment to win even the AL West. Because
64 games left.
Yeah. Those numbers,
so what's their record have to be? Okay, so look, forget the record right now. 64 games are left. They have to be. They got to win 40 plus.
I agree.
Because they're at 52 now, and it's going to take 90 some odd games to win the division. We're asking this team in the next 64 games to go 42-22, 41-23, 44-20, something like that. Can this team do that? I'm saying no. Where have we seen that can happen? I've seen no evidence of that.
I don't blame you, and I'm leaning towards no too. Like I said, we know that the Mariners have these moments where they go on, a hot streak, but I don't see this offense putting that together this year. And we both agreed that if they don't win the AL West, they're not making the playoffs out of the wild
Heck
card.
no.
That's not happening. So I will say this. I think it's a good thing that they're starting out with the Astros the second half because this is a wake-up call. And I'm not saying that this will be the make or break point, but I feel like for them, playoff baseball starts on Friday because they need 2 out of these 3 games to keep that gap and maybe get an extra game against Houston. But this game has to be played with high intensity, and this can't just be another game to these guys, even though I know it's still July. But the way that they're playing and the way that Houston's playing, they need to make a point right now. And it needs to hopefully carry on in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And
they get the Angels right after. Again.
Exactly. So
here's my thing. Against Houston, they gotta win this series. This is a This is a break series. I won't say make because even if they win the series, I'm not saying they're gonna win the division or make the playoffs.
Yes, exactly.
But if they lose this series, they are done. I'm telling you right now. If they lose this series, they're done.
I'll tell you this. I'll even go even further. If they get swept, there's going to be a lot of lost hope in the Mariners fan pool if they get swept, knowing what's at stake. And it comes to my other point, Pep.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, we're talking about this hitting and how atrocious it's been. The MLB draft just happened yesterday or 2 days ago. And with the 15th pick, the Mariners drafted Jurrangelo Cijinte out of Mississippi State. Now you're thinking, hitter has to be. He's not. He's a pitcher. One thing I do think about him is he is unique and he is a switch pitcher. So that is very unique. But once again, when I think of drafts, Pep, you go for need first, especially when you're trying to win. The pitching has never been a need unless he is a bullpen arm. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't done my research on him. But even if so, the bullpen's not nowhere near as glaring as the hitting for the Mariners. And I think there's one bat that's coming throughout the farm system, and Jonathan Clase. But besides that, I don't really know any bats coming up. So I was really, and a lot of Mariners fans I was looking on social media was a little perplexed that the Mariners did not draft a hitter, but they were interested in the pitcher that they drafted in the St. James.
Gotcha. All right. Well, baseball is a little different than the NBA, NFL, and even NHL. In baseball, doggone well that none of these guys, and it's rare, that's going to be up anytime soon.
Yeah.
So basically, you can't never, ever have enough pitching. So I get that. When you're drafting in baseball, you're drafting for potential, and of course, you're drafting for also the future. So you're looking at what you could probably do in trades, whatnot. So basically, you're not drafting for need in baseball.
Okay.
So your farm system should already have bats.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. They don't. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that that now they got to try and make a trade for a bat, and they never hardly do. That's their problem. See, the draft's not going to help them for bats because these guys are too young, right? We're talking, this one's in college, but you got a lot of high school players. Guys like Ken Griffey and Alex Rodriguez are few and far as far as dynamic bats and when they can help you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So don't be perplexed or upset about that because that's typical of a lot of teams drafting for future and potential. And of course, you could be looking ahead at trades. You could say, look, I'll give you this guy, this guy, this guy for this guy because of their potential, and a lot of teams like that, and that's what they want. So, so I'm not upset about how they drafted as far as their first pick. And this guy is definitely unique. Unique. You don't have too many ambidextrous, excuse me, pitchers in the major league. So that's cool. But as
And,
far as their offense is concerned, yeah, then they should, of course, draft for that next. But they should have that in your farm system already, at least
yeah, and
somebody.
and usually I feel like hitters, the development comes a little slower for hitters than it does pitchers. That's why you
Yeah,
usually do
except
see,
for guys like I mentioned, like Bobby Witt Jr.,
yeah,
Alex King Griffey. I
hmm
mean, those guys don't stay in the minors too long.
yeah,
And then look, this rookie pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, right?
Paul Kings, yeah.
He was drafted last year, and he's already All Star. So that's few and far between. That's not going to happen a lot, right? So
So
kudos for him.
so let's say maybe the Mariners front office does wake up. Pep,
Hmm.
who is somebody that is realistic that you would maybe want as a potential trade to be in a Mariners jersey come trade deadline?
Well, you need somebody with some pop. I mean, there's not too many guys out there that's going to hit for average, and then get you 20, 30, 40 home runs right
Mm,
now. That's going to be available. So you want somebody that can give you some pop. Brent Rooker from Oakland, right? Um, he definitely's got some pop in his bat. Joe Adele from the Angels.
mhm,
We're talking about teams that aren't going anywhere that might have guys available and got some pop. I
mhm.
mean, I would love to see, you know, Buck, Buxton from Minnesota, but
Okay.
Minnesota's in the playoff race. They're not giving
Uh,
him up. And of course, we hear about the same names, Dante Bichette and Vlad Guerrero. They're not getting them guys. They're not
no,
here. They're not getting them.
they
So
won't. Even if they somewhat even became available, the Mariners aren't going to fork over their farm to
right.
get players
And
like that.
Boston's a great hitting team, and they're kind of low in the standings, but they still feel that they've got a shot. They're over 500, so
Mhm.
you're not going to get Devers or anything like that, who would be great to get. You're not going to be getting him. So you got to look at teams. Look, you have to look at teams like the Nationals, right? You got to look at their lineup and see who's available.
Mhm.
Like I said, the Oakland A's and Brent Rooker, Joe Adele from the Angels. We're talking about bottom feeding teams. Who the Tampa Bay Rays have right now that's any good, right?
And I was going to see.
Um,
That's the thing. Is like I do look at players for the Rays, but their offense is struggling just as bad as the Mariners.
yeah,
Like,
and the Mariners, they're a big trade partner with the Mariners, right? They always do. They always like to trade with each other for some reason. So it's going to be very difficult for them to do something during the All Star break or before the trade deadline, unless one of those teams, somebody like Minnesota or falls off, Kansas City, if they fall off, because you're not getting Bobby Witt. He just signed a mega deal,
yeah,
but
he's not.
they got some guys that's got some pop. So it's not looking good, folks, for real.
Yeah,
For the Mariners. I mean, what you see is probably what you're going to be stuck with.
and I think the front office feels that way too, which is why they won't move. I don't think they'll get a big piece that will be a game changer. Because you look at guys that are possibly out there. Randy Rainier, you talked about the Rays. He's having one of his worst years possible. So, what are you willing to really trade for somebody who may not even help you? And then on top of it, you may have to pay him or lose him in a couple years.
Mhm.
People talk about Luis Roberts. He's not having a good season this year. You
Nope.
even know what he did last year. Jazz Chisholm is another name that's been brought up from the Miami Marlins.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm also don't know how I would want the front office to go in there because I feel like we do still have decent farm pieces, And I don't want to have to shell and overtrade or overvalue any of these guys that are in the trade deadline pool. Another name that I am willing to maybe do that for, but again, I don't think he'll be available because the New York Mets are teeter-tottering up and down. Is Alonso. Yeah, I would love to play like that. You talk about Pop. That's exactly what he does. He's in the meat of the lineup. But once again, what is that going to take to get him? And are the Mariners willing to move probably one of those young pitchers that they love? I don't see that happening.
Yeah, but one guy, the bad part about it, they need two. They need to bring in two guys.
I agree.
One guy is not going to be enough, man. It just ain't going to happen. If you get two, I might feel a little bit optimistic, right? You get somebody like Bichette and Alonso, right? That would be like, whoa, okay.
That'd be great.
That sounds okay, but yeah, I don't know. They need two to get even to get an eyebrow raise, right? One guy is just not going to do it.
What I do see happening is them playing it safe and maybe going to get a bullpen, somebody from out the bullpen. I can see that. Which you're right. It's not moving the needle.
Same old. Yeah. Same old, right?
Minor move, and we'll go and see if the pitching can put us on their backs, and they'll pray to the Babe Ruth gods that the bats will wake up. But that's what I see happening in the trade deadline. Minor move and praying.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. And lots of prayer. Man, right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
All right, we're getting close to break. So we'll be right back here, and we got some USA basketball to talk about. WNBA All-Star weekends coming up. NBA Summer League is going on in Vegas. And then we also got the Wimbledon that just happened last week. So we definitely got more to tune into, ladies and gentlemen. So don't touch nothing. We'll be right back here.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not being reprimanded by traffic cops, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Support for Rainier Avenue Radio comes from Friends of Waterfront Park, announcing their 2024 season of free events and programs at Pier 62, the first part of Seattle's premier downtown waterfront park to open to the public. Come for free events and programs, including fitness and wellness classes throughout the summer, weekly spotlight performances on Thursday evenings, cultural festivals, daily amenities, games, and more. To learn more, go to waterfrontparkseattle.org.
Different rules apply when it gets this late. You know what I mean? It's like after hours.
Whatever gets you through the night.
Hello, I'm an unpaid spokesman for DJ Sotovaci. I'd like to invite you to listen to his free-form music show. It's popular music the way it was never intended to be heard. Whatever gets you through the night, late nights, here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Whatever gets you through the night.
Turn up your radio wherever you at. We about to bring it. Street Beat with Tony B.
Tony B will give you a chance to tackle local, national, and international issues that affect your community.
Street Beat. Street Beat. Tony.
Closing the digital divide and ensuring that Washington State continues to be a national leader in the space of digital equity is a core mission of the Washington State Office of Equity. This is not an easy task in a state as diverse as ours, not only in size and topography, but also in demographics, including socioeconomic factors, as well as the natural divides of rural and urban access and infrastructure. It is the commitment of the Office of Equity to not only bring digital equity, but digital equality to ensure that young learners in the smallest cities in our state have the same equal footing as those in our most affluent neighborhoods. Our elders and veterans can access services like telehealth online, that high school students in our urban centers aren't forced to study in restaurant lobbies because they cannot access the web at home. The Washington State Office of Equity, bridging the digital divide across the Evergreen State.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
Back, everybody. Thank you for listening to LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Street Beat broadcast on Rainier Avenue Radio for the 100th time tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. with guests the rest of the Teen Summer Musical. And also the series finale of Eclectic Pop Music show. Whatever gets you through the night is tonight or tomorrow at 1 a.m. Oh, man, I'm so glad we're through with the M's for now. Please take us home.
Bad news first, and now we can get on with some good stuff in sports. USA basketball has been underway. The Olympics takes place in about 2 weeks. First game will be July 27th, I believe, against Serbia. And they played 2 games, exhibition games against Canada, Australia. But that was without Kawhi Leonard, who was sent home by USA Basketball. Now, there's conflicting stories about what happened. Grant Hill came out and said that they just pretty much sound like that they said that, you know, it would have just been it's best for him than that they had sent him home. Now, Lawrence Frank, who is the GM of the Clippers, came out today and said that Kawhi had practice and he looked pretty solid, and he was looking forward to playing with the USA team. And it was unfortunate that this happened. So I don't know exactly what's true, but I can definitely see that this was probably Kawhi having his own kind of agenda of what's going to go with him in practice, game-wise, and everything. And I'm sure just Grant Hill probably just like, if we got to go through all these hoops just to have you ready each game, then maybe it's best that you go home. Because I saw clips of him practicing, and I think he did miss a practice, but I did see clips of him practicing. So I don't know.
I had my theory.
Yeah, what's your theory?
My theory is he was getting cooked by Cooper Flagg.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Cooper Flagg is the young freshman who is playing on the USA select team. He is going to Duke next year. The select team plays and practices against the USA team before the Olympics, and he has been showing out, and he looks like he is the real deal. And then also the other guy who is hurt a lot, Kevin Durant, has a strained calf, and although they said it's precautionary, he has not practiced, and he did miss both exhibition games, and it is still unseen if he will play in the exhibition game, but they did say that come Olympics he will be ready to go.
Can I address an elephant?
Yeah.
In the room.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's just stop with this nonsense. KD, look, he's hurt all the time, man. Why is he even on the team? Seriously, we already know his talent. I get it. But, bro, I don't care how talented you are. You do me no good if you can't get on the court. Right? So I'm not mad that Kawhi's gone because, look, he was going to probably miss something, game 2, practice, whatever. Yeah, see ya. No problem. KD, same thing, bro. Just go. Just withdraw. Because, look, Jaylen Brown needs to be on this team, man.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And pick up Derek White. Yeah, I like Derek White. Derek White is a great complementary player, okay? That he fits perfect with the Boston Celtics or maybe another good team with good cohesion. He's a great complementary player. Yeah, he can get you 30 every now and then, but he's not going to get you 30, 25 every night. He's not that guy, right?
Yeah.
But as far as this team is concerned, yes, they need a guy like Derek White. But come on, man. I'm not putting Derek White on the team over Jaylen Brown. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and
Jaylen Brown is great.
And that's what I think
and available.
And that was the backlash. So is no disrespect to Derek White.
No.
This is the USA team. And you're supposed to be, yes, you are still trying to build a team. That's what coaches are for. You're supposed to be taking all of your best guys out of the U.S. and putting them together and making it work. And there's no reason why, after the run that Jaylen Brown has just had, that he was not even somebody who you kept on the hot seat just in case any of this was going to happen, like we knew it was going to happen.
MVP.
He should have been the first one ready to go.
And he's not on the USA team? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And Kyrie, he's not on the USA team.
Too.
He cooks everybody at any time. Yeah, Boston locked him up a little bit, but still, come on, man.
And you bring up those two names, and I don't care what nobody says. My theory, I swear up and down by this. This has a lot to do with Nike. This has a lot to do with Nike.
Yeah, absolutely.
With those two making their remarks, especially Kyrie, was condemning Nike, and Jaylen Brown stuck up for Kyrie. This has everything to do with Nike and not wanting them to put on a USA Nike jersey. And people can say, oh, well, they got other players who have shoe deals with other. That has nothing to do with that. You can't tell Steph Curry that he can't be on this team. You can't tell after the way Edwards is playing, who is with Adidas, that he's not going to be on this team.
Right.
But Jaylen Brown is in that same mode, and there's no reason why he wasn't even in the first group of names, in my opinion.
Ridiculous.
To be on this team. But then to even go around kind of with a slap on his face, and, it even makes it even more cringe because it's his teammate. But you take somebody who is in a smaller role on his own team, and make him available to the USA team over Jaylen Brown it's so disrespectful. And this has everything to do with the higher up powers at Nike. Grant Hill, who I love as a person, as a player, can undermine him. He's looking as more puppety-ish, I know that's not a word, than ever.
We'll take it.
Because I hate that he has to go up in front of the camera and lie to everybody and say that they just felt like Derek White was a better fit for this team. Look, you don't need to have too many players that play roles on this US team. You already have one. You already have three, in my opinion. Drew Holiday is going to play a role. Bam Adebayo is going to play a role. Tyrese Halliburton is going to play a role. They're surrounded by stars who all know how to play the game at a high level. I don't want to hear a mesh and putting a team together. These are the 12 best players in the world, not just in the U.S. We're talking about the 12 best players in the world. You're telling me that they can't become cohesive to go play in a tournament and win gold? I don't want to hear that Jaylen Brown or that Derek White would have been a better fit than him. Because like I said, Derek White's role is going to be what Drew Holiday's role is. So now you just got two of them. And Derek White's not going to play that much. So if that's what it is, because you got to find minutes, that's why I said that this needed to be a tryout anyway. These guys will earn their minutes. We know who can do what. And you made another point too, Pep. I hold my breath every day, and I'm glad KD can sit for as long as he wants, as me being a Suns fan. I want him to get back to training camp healthy.
Right.
So I have no problem with him not playing right now. I know he will be playing, but yeah, I don't care that he's not playing in this because I want him to be healthy. And he's somebody who, even though he was relatively healthy last year, played 75 games, but we know his body can break down at any given moment with him being older. And I also felt like this should have been a USA team full of the young guys. There was no need for LeBron and Steph and KD. As much as I love seeing those three getting to play together, I think this was the time that you have enough young superstars who can come together and play at a high level. Because now, breaking down the two exhibition games, the guys who have been playing well is the young guys. Devin Booker has played well against Australia. Anthony Edwards has played well. I like what Anthony Davis has been doing. Bron has been okay. Joel Embiid has not really put his stamp in these first two games. And number one, did not like that the Team USA ran to Joel Embiid, who is of Cameroon nationality, literally African homegrown. And the fact that they used that loophole that he is a U.S. citizen to go run to him, I thought that just showed me how terrified the U.S. was that the world was catching up, and the fact that you even had to go persuade Joel Embiid to go play. And I don't even like his fit, the way he plays. He is a heavy ISO based scorer who is really hard to guard. But now you're talking about having to go play with 4 superstars at one point on the court. You're not going to have the ball in your hands and be able to hold it for 7 to 10 seconds to try to go get a bucket. So that's why shot attempts aren't there for them. He's fouling a lot over his last 2 games. But I know that can change. Like I said, he is an elite superstar player. But I thought that there was panic from Team USA in the front office.
Well, you're absolutely right, because USA doesn't have any big guys that are of that ilk. So, I mean, name one other than Joel, and he's not even American, that you would put on the team to replace him. That would be dominant. I'll wait.
I like what Anthony Davis has done for the Team USA team. I think that was the type of role that you wanted to. I feel like should have been filled for Team USA, and it's worked. From Tyson Chandler playing with the Redeem team, and I think that's the type of fit.
Anthony Davis is too much of a finesse guy for me, as far as because
I think in my sense,
he's not dominant. He's not going to dominate.
No,
he's just not.
That's what I'm saying.
And Embiid can and probably will a lot of times. And Embiid is not afraid of Jokic, right? And Anthony Davis, Jokic handles him pretty well, right? So I don't know how well Jokic handles Embiid in the paint.
Joel Embiid kicks his butt every time they play.
There you go. See, that's the problem. And then as far as what you said about role players, you made a great point. Let me ask you this: in '92, name me a role player other than Christian Laettner.
None.
I'll wait.
They were all
superstars, right? And they were killing everybody. You need to get back to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you on some points, even with Joel Embiid. I think back to when I speak on Anthony Davis, I like, because you're playing with 4 guys who, just like you said, all are elite stars and in their role and needing the ball to score. I like the complementary of my center being the rim runner, and the rim protector, which is what Anthony Davis has been doing a great job of for these first 2 games. So yeah, but I definitely, when it comes to now, if we're talking about just having to deal with guys like Jokic, which they will have to deal with, yeah, I am going to go get Joel Embiid. But I watched the first game against Canada. They blew it open, but they had 17 turnovers. Just not much cohesion, which you kind of expected, but you want there to be some sort of dominance, and it kind of came on late. So it left.
Yeah, the first unit didn't. They weren't
exactly. And that's the older group.
But once the second unit came in, they started clicking, and I like that. Yeah.
And then they played Australia today. I got to watch some of that game. And this time they start Anthony Edwards and Jason Tatum started for Drew Holiday and Devin Booker. Got off to a better start. By the third quarter, they started to die out. And Australia was just playing harder. The turnover started to happen again. And so for me, it's a little worry that, when you see 12 stars play together, there's some sort of dominance. And they haven't dominated these first 2 games. And I know it's just an exhibition game, and they're still learning.
Yeah, they're probably holding back a little bit,
I can see that too.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I mean, they're not balls to the walls, putting pedal to the metal right now. But I'm telling you what, they can't just think that they're going to turn it on and off at any point either.
And that's why.
So that first game, they need to just get it clicking and let's go. And stop messing around.
And that's my point. And you want to see hope before this tournament of okay, like these guys are ready. Like I said, I'm not asking for the 40-point blowout in the exhibition game, but you want to see moments where you're like, okay, these guys are ready, and I haven't really fully seen that yet. And I told you, Pep, and I'm not trying to say this to, get clicks or, be the guy who goes the opposite of everybody and be the guy who says, I told you so. I will not be surprised if there is some team out there who really takes away the gold from the U.S. And I only say that because I brought up the points of the older guys being on the Team USA team. And every team who is out there has multiple NBA players now, but also watching the guys that do have multiple NBA players, they're in their prime, and they have other good NBA players next to them. And all it takes is one game. So it'll be interesting. Like I said,
see, the thing is, nobody's afraid of USA anymore.
That too.
That fear is gone, right? That it's lost. I don't know when or if they're ever going to get it back, but the point of being afraid of the USA is over.
And that's why I thought it was, funny that everybody lost their marbles when they saw the Grant Hill go hand jerseys to Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James and Steph Curry and KD. If this was 5 years ago, yeah, I would definitely say that they are head and shoulders going to blow out everybody in the Olympics. But these are Steph Curry's 35, KD's 36, LeBron's 39. We're talking about guys that are, yes, past prime, but still playing at a very high level, but past prime. We're not talking about these guys in their prime. So you made a very good point that there's nothing to be scared of when you're saying those names now to these young up-and-coming players around the world who are playing at a high level themselves. So it'll be really interesting. I think they got 2 more exhibition games out in Dubai, and then they'll wrap up and they'll get ready to go to Paris. Some other basketball, NBA Summer League in Vegas is going on. 2 players that have really caught my eye. Number 3 pick, Reed Shepherd for the Houston Rockets, man. I was definitely not somebody who's really high on him being a smaller guard, but he is lighting it up, and he looks like he is going to fit in the NBA perfectly, and he is going to help the Rockets, which is what they're trying to do, catapult and taking that next step of trying to make
they're making
playoffs.
The playoffs next year.
Yeah, I thought that they were having a really good summer, and they definitely put the nail in the coffin by picking Reed Shepherd, who looks like he is going to be a really good player. And then another player who actually went through a lot of scrutiny before the draft, and he lost some draft stock due to some legal troubles. Terrence Shannon out of Illinois, the guy who was falsely accused of raping a girl in Illinois, lost the college season. He is putting on a show in Summer League, and he is looking like another player who could possibly help the Minnesota Timberwolves next year, another team who is trying to now take that corner of being a finals contender. So those 2 have really caught my eye so far. And then, of course, we can't talk about Summer League without talking about the 56th pick in the NBA draft in Bronny James Jr. He's got to play early. He played in the California Classic and now Summer League. And for me, play has been expected. And when I say that, very underwhelming offensively and showing, signs defensively. Hasn't made shots. One thing I am really concerned about, Pep, and I didn't really watch too much from USC, but now watching him play in the NBA, he has no on-the-ball feel as a 6'2", 6'3" guard. There's a lot of times where he does not have the ball in his hands, and he's just running in the corner. He doesn't touch the ball, not really looking to – not even just look to score, but look to make a play. And usually guys that are defensive-minded guards, who turn into defensive-minded guards, they showed offensive ability either in college, like Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart was, I think, like an 18 and 20-point scorer and guys like that. So how can Bronny even get on the court if he's just going to be an offensive liability totally and wiped out on offense? So it's been a struggle, in my opinion. But like I said, I do like some of the activity I've seen from him defensively. Have you been able to watch Bronny at all?
I watched some of the first game,
Uh-huh.
and he looks exactly the same as every other game. I've seen him in high school a few times, and I've seen him maybe one or two college games, and I've seen him in summer league that first game. He looks like exactly the same. and that's not a good thing, because if you're looking the same to me in high school, college, and now you're pro, what are we doing here? I mean, I don't see anything that's telling me that, man, he's gonna be something else, blah blah blah. Because what I see in high school, I'm still seeing the same stuff. He moves well without the ball. He's a pretty good defender, terrible shooter so far. He did that in high school. And then, of course, people are talking about how he was in college, 4-point a game score for SC, which is nothing. But, there's other players that average 3 and 6 points that are NBA and doing well. So we can't use that. But to me, I'm not seeing anything that shows that, he's got marked improvement from what I've seen in high school to the pros. I haven't seen it. And look, people like Granville have a good high opinion on it, and I'm not disparaging that, because look, he's a coach. He knows better than I do, right? So if he says that Bronny's going to be something or he's going to be good, I'm trying to take his word for it, right? I'm just not seeing it. But that doesn't mean it won't happen. But I'm just being honest of what I'm seeing, and I'm not seeing it.
And I think shout out to Granville, LidLine legend. I think what G is trying to see when he is looking at his game is the tools. Like I said, the possibly the ability to be the 3-and-D 2A utility defensive type of player. And I think that's what G sees. And I'm just like with you, I'm trying to see that, because anybody who's watching Bronny, and I hope they're not thinking he's never going to be a star. We're trying to find a role for him to play so he can stay in the NBA. And I'm trying to find that role. And I'm with you. Right now, it's hard for me to see him etching it out. And I hope the Lakers at least do right by him and don't just thrust him out there just because you're trying to get the headline of Bron and Bronny James get on the court at the same time for the first time father-son duo. This kid needs to be in the G League, needs to be developing. He has no business right now being on an NBA floor. You're doing him a disservice.
Yes. Maybe I'm spoiled. I don't know. Because look, when Iverson came out of high school, went to Georgetown, I heard all this stuff about Iverson, and all of that came to fruition. Basically, his second game, as a Hoya, and then of course on and on from there. And guys like DeJuan Wagner, I remember in high school, he scored 100 points a game. Went to college, was killing it. Got to the pros, he kind of struggled, and he had some health issues, and that derailed his career. And then of course Kobe, right? And so I don't even have to go on from that. But see, the problem with superstars and their offspring, it usually isn't going to happen for the sons. Usually, like Michael Jordan, he's got 2 sons. How did they do? They were average college players and no shot in making the pros, right? But I bet if one of those sons has a son, that's going to be the guy. Like now take Jelly Bean Bryant, right, from the Sixers, role player, average guy, superstar son. Rick Brunson, decent player, superstar son. Usually it doesn't happen for the superstar fathers, right? And I don't know why, right?
I'm going to tell you why. The pressure builds upon them. There's this, especially in this era of LeBron and Bronny, is the media and social media is trying to paint him as being the next coming of LeBron because if he's his son and he's not getting a fair chance to develop. If this kid was somebody else's kid, he would not even be coming into the draft this year. There's been so much pressure, and I respect Bronny for his goal is to play in the NBA. He took the path to get there. He wasn't tripping about being a second-round pick. He just wanted to get a chance. I'm not mad at that. But there's real life steps that is being skipped to not just getting to the NBA, but sticking in the NBA. And I talk to this a lot about friends who I have that are in the NBA business. It's not just about getting there. It's about getting to that second contract. The guys who get to that second contract, that's them showing that they belonged in the NBA. Just getting there, which is great, a first-round contract, that money comes and goes, especially if you don't
are so right.
But you want to get to, it's not just about getting there. And I just feel like it's just a disservice to him. And like I said, I'm not his pops. I'm not in his circle. But like I said, I respect everything that's going on. And he is there. So that's the step. So it is on him to see what happens next. I did want to just real quick get into Wimbledon for the tennis fans out there, a.k.a. Mom, a.k.a. Rhonda Dorsey. Wimbledon did just happen over the week. Nancy Conyers as well. On the men's side, Carlos Alcaraz defeated Djokovic in the men's finals. We knew that was a matchup everybody was waiting for, as Alcaraz is the new number one star, and Djokovic is the guy who is, starting to maybe possibly pass that baton, but still got it. I'm mad that I missed that. Were you able to see that matchup?
You know what? I forgot it was even on, bro.
I did too.
I forgot.
I knew, though, because of my mom, that Wimbledon was happening.
Well, yeah.
And I
Mama
remember
Dorsey.
exactly. I remember everybody talking about this matchup. I wanted to see it. I'm mad that I missed it, so I have to catch it. U.S. Open sounds like next, possibly Olympics. And then on the women's side, Jasmine Paolini was defeated by Barbara Krejcikova. Sorry, Barbara, if you're listening, if I said that, and Jasmine, if I said your name wrong. That's what happened on the women's side. And if anybody looking for anything to watch sports-wise this weekend, or even tomorrow, you got the MLB All-Star game. The Run Derby just happened today. Teoscar Hernandez, another Mariners ex who's having a great season, just won it. And
that's who me and my friend at work predicted.
Okay.
We predicted Teoscar to win it, and sure enough.
And then this weekend.
Oh, go ahead.
This weekend we got the WNBA All-Star game. It'll be different this weekend because of the Olympics. We'll have the WNBA All-Stars, which does feature Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, be going up against Team USA. The WNBA All-Star team also has two players who got cut off that Team USA team. The girl from Dallas. I can't think of her.
Her.
Yes.
Enrique.
Yeah. So I know she'll be coming for vengeance.
So
that'll be a fun game to watch. I definitely will be tuning into that.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, Netflix debuted their series Receivers.
I've seen it.
I watched all of it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Reason why I watched it so intently is because my guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, was in it, and I really like him a lot. It was pretty good. It's worth it. So check it out if you can. But that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank Daniel Bellis for doing a super job. Oh, you always the man. And I'm Pep, and we are out.